So thank you very much, Marcel, for the invitation to talk here about a blockchain act, or the blockchain act of Liechtenstein. I know that I'm the part between you and the lunch, so I'll try not to bore you. I try not to bore you when it's not really necessary. What we're talking about the law here, I'm a lawyer, so please be patient with me. It's not like a very fancy topic, but I think because it has something to do with blockchain, it's not that bad. Something about my person. I'm a lawyer in Liechtenstein. Yes, we founded, with some of my colleagues, I founded the Crypto Country Association Liechtenstein. I'm a president there, which might be of interest. I used to code software for almost 10 years, so I do have a little bit of knowledge in developing software as well. The agenda of the presentation today will be why create new legislation, because we heard that there are different approaches globally to answer the relevant questions here. If a new legislation is needed, if a new legislation is possible. To answer that question and to go into a little bit more detail about token, I try not to go too deep into technical stuff there, but just to give you the idea why we have chosen this approach and why we wanted to regulate token and legally define token. And then we will have a short look at the legal definition as it is now in the Blockchain Act, and we will have a look at the token container model. But first of all, I want to give you some numbers about Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is a very small country. But that's a good one. That's a good one. We don't have 37,000 employees. They are inhabitants. And our neighbors are Austria and Switzerland. And when we started 3 years ago, we had a work group together with the government, with the Financial Market Authority in Liechtenstein. And back then, we had some requests at the Financial Market Authority about cryptocurrencies, about ICOs already. But there were only a few. There were 30 requests, and there were only the FMA didn't differentiate between if it's somehow crypto-related or not. But we said, okay, like this cryptocurrency thing is interesting, it's proof of concept. But when we think a little bit more into the future, maybe this will be a game changer. Now, what's the role of Liechtenstein? And maybe there's my Freudscher Versprecher coming from. Liechtenstein and the Liechtenstein government tries to support entrepreneurs. And they said, okay, if there's the answer to the question, is regulation needed to empower this new technology, then we will give our entrepreneurs the right legal framework to really empower this technology. And so we started 3 years ago, and actually we started to discuss, is regulation needed? One thing, I don't want to go much into detail, but there were a lot of first evers out of Liechtenstein, like certificates and stuff. The first ever security token offering, because everybody's talking about security token offerings today, the first ever security token offerings, at least we know of, in the European Economic Area Framework or European Union Framework was out of Liechtenstein in 30th of August in 2018. And when when the project announced that, the Financial Market Authority was a little bit nervous. It was a conference. And they said, yeah, we just got approved by the Financial Market Authority Liechtenstein, the first ever security token offering within the European Union framework, and we will passport that to BaFin. And actually, BaFin didn't care, so it got through, it got passported, and they offered it in Europe. But that was a project out of Liechtenstein. So Why create new legislation? The answer is now there's this draft of the Blockchain Act available, and Liechtenstein answered the question with a strong yes. We said, yes, we need legislation. We need to have legal certainty for these entrepreneurs, and that's why we said, okay, let's do that. We analyzed and we started from scratch. We said, okay, now this is this opportunity, and we didn't talk about ICOs or fundraising only. I mean, that's part of the idea. But we said, what's this token economy really all about? And what's the beauty of this token economy? We heard a lot about efficiency that's in the supply chain. I mean, we heard how you can use that. And we said, okay, legally, for example, if I transfer a token from A to B, is it legally binding? And how is it legally binding? Or, for example, if I do an STO and I want to be a shareholder of a company, but the only thing I have in my hand is a token, am I a shareholder? Am I able to really claim my dividend rights, for example, or attend at the General Assembly? So we said, okay, we will have a look at what we have to amend in the current legal framework and what we have to do that this token economy we now really see happening more and more has the right legal framework and the certainty. We had, and that's some of the points we analyzed, there were no legal definition of a token, and that was one crucial part. There were no requirements for token issuers. Yeah, we saw all of that ICO hype. Even in Liechtenstein, we had an ICO hype. But we said, yeah, we will have some regulation there as well. And because being part of the European Economic Area, Liechtenstein is part of the European Economic Area, all of these financial market laws apply to us as well. And so we had to ask the question first, in the current legal framework, is it possible that we have a designated law? Does it fit into all of these laws? Or should we amend like some laws directly and not have like a 160 pages legal act? That was one question, and the answer there was easy. I mean, our approach is that we have a designated law. We have like, if it's in force, you can have a look at it, and you will find most of your answers there in that law, and you don't have to ask a lot of people searching for every law here. And the second thing is, yes, we have to care about what's happening in the European Union. Because we are part, as I said, of the EEA. And all of these financial market laws, I mean, the STO area, that's heavily regulated. And you have an existing framework. That's working. I mean, if you offer that, if you do offer a security, you don't have to regulate it more in a way. But there are parts, especially civil parts, you have to amend that you get the legal certainty. So we said, okay, if we don't touch, I mean, if you don't say that STOs are not regulated in Liechtenstein and you don't need a prospectus if you offer a security token and the offering is above 10 million or above 5 million, no, we didn't do that. That's not possible. But we found a way where we really fit the holes which were needed. And then we started, as I said, with the definition of a token, because that's in the center. The center is the token in the token economy, because that's actually where most of the efficiency comes from. So whenever you have something in a token, you can transfer it easily from A to B, and securely from A to B, and you don't need any of these intermediaries anymore. But if you look around, and even today, there is no clear term and no clear legal definition of a token. And if you have a look in history or how tokens are used as terms, yes, they were used for physical money. They were used for this hardware, like the second picture. Maybe some of you remember that, like in the old days, where you had to enter the ID on the e-banking system to log in. That's also called a token. And you have the tokens we have now in the blockchain world. And yeah, that's another thing how you can look at a token that's just a standard ERC20 token, a set of codes. And I will not bore you with more detail, but when we started to discuss how you define a token, what it really is, you have to go into detail. You have to understand what this technology is all about. And we had hours and weeks of discussions about how this system works. And in the end, it should be a solution. As a regulator, you always want to do a functional approach. You don't want to regulate technology. So we had a look at, okay, what is happening, how it is at the moment, what's this technology all about, and then we found a way, and we tried to find a way how we have a functional approach and legally defined token. And what's this all for, you will hear in some minutes. But just to give you a very, 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 I think, clear example. If you look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, just two blockchains maybe everybody heard of already. Bitcoin has a model where to see how many Bitcoins I own, to simplify a little bit, you have to look through all the transactions and see which transactions went to my address and are not spent. That's how you calculate and how the Bitcoin blockchain calculates how many I have. Ethereum has an accounting model. So when I have an address and I do a transfer from A to B, I say, okay, deduct from my account number X and send it to the other address. That's a different approach. The problem is, if you want to legally define the token, that's lawyer stuff. I will not bore you with that, but property law, you need, at least in Liechtenstein and in Switzerland, you need an element, a physical element. And if you have just some lines of code, you don't have a physical element. It's stored on some hard drives, maybe on or some flash memories as well. So you're missing this physical element, and so you cannot define it as a thing legally. That's one of the challenges we had. So we analyzed the technology with a lot of people and tried to understand it. And then we found our legal definition. And what was really crucial, I think, and what's really interesting, when the ERC 721, and that's, yeah, maybe you heard of the CryptoKitties, this boom. With the CryptoKitties, the only thing which is really interesting there is that that was the first time ever where you can have a token with an ID in it. And for example, if you want to tokenize things, so let's say if you want to tokenize the property right of a diamond, because then you want to have like a tokenized diamond, you have to identify that token. And we had a look there as well. Now, you think, okay, what the hell, I don't care. But legally, again, it's very crucial if you have a claim only for an amount of money or a specific thing. And technically, we had a look at that as well. So that's all from the tech side. So we said, okay, basically token is an information. It represents an underlying right or nothing, Bitcoin, for example. And this underlying, for example, can be access to a network, discount, right to claim membership in respect to a legal entity, title to an object. Basically, the idea is if you have a token, you can have every right, an ownership right, a usage right, every right can be represented and embodied in that token. And the token has three main functions. The first function is that, for example, if I'm token holder and I'm a shareholder of a company, if I want to claim my dividends, I can use the token. The company itself, if I claim my dividends, for them, they are afterwards, that's the liberation function. If they pay me, if I get my dividends, they don't have to pay again. And the third function is the transport function. And that makes it so efficient because that's based on the technology and that's very easy. But these are the three functions we said a token has. And now it's getting really, really boring, I know. We didn't do any token classification, so no security token, utility token, and currency or payment. we said we will define the token as broad as somehow possible, and we will use a functional approach. So we said, okay, it is an information on a TT system, aka blockchain, that's a trusted technology system, that can represent reasonable claims or membership rights of a person, rights in property, or other absolute and or relative rights. So basically, you can tokenize every right. You can tokenize your rights as a shareholder. You can tokenize your ownership rights to a physical thing. You can tokenize your IP rights. You can basically tokenize everything. And it's legally defined. So whenever a court has to decide on a case, they can have a look at our law and see, okay, that's a token. We don't have to discuss if this is a thing based on our property rights or not. And so if you want to have a look at the 50 pages of the Blockchain Act and what's it all about, you can do that. It's publicly available. I will get you the link afterwards. But in a nutshell, it's just ensuring that that's what we all aim for in the token economy is really working. You need to amend your legal framework that you can transfer the token from A to B, and the token holder can then go to the company and say, I will claim my dividend rights. And if that's not working, the token economy will not work. Because you have to rely, and we heard already, you have to rely on people. You have to rely that this information is right or not. So we said, okay, we will have this the own set of rules how you transfer a token from A to B. We have the definition of the token, and then we said, in the end, what the industry and entrepreneurs build on that, I mean, hopefully a lot. But it works for everything, and that's the crucial thing, because we don't care what it is, as long as you can have a right on something, you can tokenize it. And then, whenever it is tokenized, based on the blockchain technology, you can easily transfer, and you can build a lot of services on it. And that's basically showing with that slide. So, for example, if I tokenize the ownership rights of a car, and I need a loan from my bank, what I will do is, hopefully in the future, I can give that token to my bank. The bank will have it as a security and grant me a loan. And that's all automated. I mean, that's easy. You can do that with an app. You can do that. And that's actually really, I mean, we see projects in that way, even banks considering that. And what we heard today is that there are limitations to the technology, and you need somehow to trust, for example, the sensors, and you need to trust some parties there. And we said, yeah, that's true. We will need some service providers that the token economy really works. We will need some service providers. And how can you try to find an answer to that question? I mean, you can say, I don't care. So, for example, if you tokenize the ownership right of a diamond, I don't care what happens to the diamond, to that diamond. But, for example, if I tokenize a diamond and I will sell the diamond token to make it easy to Marcel, and Marcel will send it to Baha, and Baha will come to me and say, Thomas, you know, see, this is the diamond token. Please hand over the diamond. And I say, oh, I'm so terribly sorry, but yesterday, you know, I lost it because, I don't know, maybe the cat has eaten the diamond, or I forgot it, or maybe I flushed the toilet. I'm so sorry, but I cannot hand it over to you. And that's the problem, and that's one thing we try to solve with a physical validator. So there's a service provider which is registered with our financial market authority, and he has the duty to take this diamond, if you tokenize it on certain circumstances, to take it in custody. So I need a third-party regulated provider, and then Baha can go to that provider and say, please hand over the diamond. That's one solution how you can solve that. And there are a lot of, not a lot of, but all of these service providers which we thought are necessary to solve open issues, and that this token economy really will work. Conclusion. We have 300 years of Liechtenstein. We are not a company, we're a country. And you can download the 180-page document through the links there. And if you have any questions, I will not bore you with a summary, but because I know I am between the lunch. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now or whenever you see me, or with email, or you can call me. Yeah. Any questions? Thank you very much. You saved my day, because if there is no question, I did a horrible job. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. A very good question. First of all, I mean, sure, there are provisions there that, for example, if you emit the token out of Liechtenstein, in standard Liechtenstein law is applicable. Whenever you have the physical asset in Liechtenstein, Liechtenstein law is applicable. You can opt in, for example, as a company, for example, from UK. You can opt in to the Blockchain Act. But I mean, to answer your question, that's nice that Liechtenstein has a blockchain act, but it will not solve our problem we have globally. So anyway, we will need, and hopefully we will see soon, a European approach to answer these questions. And then we will have a solution which we really can use globally. And maybe this is just a very good idea, and people will see that in Liechtenstein this is working. Sure, I mean, now the idea, or like what could happen, is that we will attract some assets in Liechtenstein, because we do have an existing financial center, and we do know how to deal with values. And so if you bring your values to Liechtenstein, that's clear. Then Liechtenstein law is applicable, and everything is working because it's in the jurisdiction of Liechtenstein. But cross-border is a big challenge, and I do know that, I mean, like everybody knows today, that we will need a harmonized approach, hopefully, that we have that single market we have with everything else. But with, for example, not with the physical thing, with the security token offerings, you already have that single market, because you can passport it to the European Union. Yes.
Why did it come under the security? Why wasn't it enhanced or added on to the security?
Sorry, I didn't.
Why wasn't it part of the Security Act?
Okay, because it's not only about securities. So we said, we decided to have an own act, a standalone act in a way, because we have to have these provisions, how you from a civil perspective, transfer tokens from A to B. We will have all of these new roles, the service providers. We said, okay, we will have a lot of other definitions. And so we said we want to have one act which tries to answer the basic questions, and then amend, for example, our corporate laws where needed. And that's what we did. And the Securities Act, we didn't have to change, because that's working. And that's harmonized. We cannot like the area of maneuver there is so small, you cannot actually really do something about it. But it's working anyway. Yeah.
And there's no legal backbone when talking about revenue share
I mean, that's an answer a lawyer would never give. It's always, it depends. But in theory, yes, revenue share models are tokenizable. Yeah.
How do you see, or how do you collaborate with Switzerland, or where do you see the major constraints with your neighbor?
We do collaborate on a daily basis with Switzerland because, first of all, we are very small. So a lot of projects which are incorporated in Zug, for example, they use Liechtenstein to, for example, do their offerings to the European Union because we are part of the European Union. There are projects, for example, I think so. It's rather not competition. Sure, there is competition, but in the end, it's more collaborating because, for example, Switzerland has a very specific framework, and you can have solutions which are not able in Liechtenstein. And what we see is we do have close relationship to the Crypto Valley Association from an association level. Even our governments, they talk on a regular basis together. And I think I don't see that Liechtenstein and Switzerland are in a competition. I don't think that Liechtenstein and Germany are in a competition. I think the big competition will come out of Asia and the United States sooner or later. And what happened was, and that's actually turned out to be a good thing, is that this competition, as it was with the legislation, helped Switzerland a lot. Because when we published our Blockchain Act, they were like, oh, shock, we have to do something now. And as what I heard and what was told to me, this was really like the boost for Switzerland to now really have a strategy and have this legislation they announced.